Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It is 8:07. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here to our Thursday extravaganza. Super busy news cycle, and we're just scratching the surface so far. I'm Larry O'Connor, and assisting me, and boy, do I need the assistance, Mercedes Schlapp.
Scratching the surface. I think we've done a phenomenal job breaking down the news this morning.
Honestly, having
but
you
there's a
and
lot of news.
Having our guest, KT McFarland, former Deputy National Security Advisor to President Trump and author of the important book, Revolution, that makes it pretty easy, too. Let's get right to it. KT, always good to speak with you. Good morning, and happy commissioning week for the Naval Academy.
There's nothing better in the world, is there, than to go to a Naval Academy graduation and seeing that 1,000 caps thrown in the air as they all graduated except their commissions in the Navy and in the Marines.
Yep, it's the greatest. All right, where do we begin? First, I got to ask you about what the international reaction is going to be to this unprecedented act of violence, this assassination last night of an Israeli diplomat and his soon-to-be fiancée, an American who worked at the Israel embassy here in Washington, D.C., murdered in cold blood at a American Jewish Committee event, and the assailant yelling, "Free, free Palestine," as he was being arrested. This is going to have a ripple effect internationally, I would think.
You know something? I don't think it will. I mean, that's
Really?
the tragedy of it. I think that the world is so anti-Israel, anti-Semitic, whether it's the Europeans. I mean, the Brits are cutting off all aid. They've somehow, the Palestinians, the Gaza and Hamas, who are like the most evil people on the planet, they've managed to flip world opinion to make all this Israel's fault sometime. Yeah. So I don't know how they've done it, but they've managed to do it. And I look at it and say, you know, Democrats, how many times are you going to blow that dog whistle before somebody picks up a gun? And do you think the Democrats are really, I mean, I think that it's, Israel kind of deserves it. Israel's bad to poor Palestinians. And yet if they were going to go after anybody, the people who are the real villains here are Hamas. They're starving their own people. There's plenty of food stuff that goes in there and aid. It doesn't go to the people. Hamas distributes it to whoever Hamas wants, including the black market. But so it's just the whole thing is upside down. But frankly, I don't think it's going to have a big effect.
Wow.
I mean, we seen this horrific tragedy last night. It was clearly an act of terrorism. You saw Pam Bondi, Kash Patel on the scene. You know, what we've gone into is the fact that it's the Hamas protesters in our college campuses and now violence, even more violence that we're seeing with the death of these innocent Israeli embassy staffers. I mean, what else can the administration do to stop this type of bloodshed and really kick out these Hamas terrorists and their sympathizers?
Well, I mean, do what the Marco Rubio plan is, right? Get them out of the country, take away their student visas. If they're here illegally, get rid of them or put them in jail. And if they're American citizens who are really chanting and advocating violence and murder, put them in jail too. Let's charge everybody with hate crimes because that's what these are.
I'd also love for you to comment on the extraordinary scene yesterday in the Oval Office as the president of South Africa. I'm being told by the media that it was an ambush, KT.
Oh, for God's sake.
For him not to be prepared to answer for his government's policies against white farmers, if he was ambushed, that's his fault because he should have been prepared. What did you think of the scene?
God bless Donald Trump. You know, he's using the bully pulpit to call out, name and shame people who are complicit in crime. And he's not using the American military. He's just saying, look, here's the evidence. He's got the bully pulpit. The world is watching. And so the South African president, that's not me. I don't really mean it. We want your resistance. We want economic relationships. And good for Donald Trump. I mean, that's the power of the presidency. It's not, he doesn't even have to use the economic weapon. It's just show people what's going on. And then let world leaders be held accountable.
Yeah, no, it was fascinating to watch when he puts on the video. I mean, we've seen this with Ukrainian President Zelensky. It is. I mean, you understand the world of diplomacy. This is a very different type of diplomacy that we're seeing, where it's bringing awareness to these tragedies and these atrocities happening across the globe. And Americans are now saying, wait a second, what's going on with these white farmers in South Africa? What do you think created this shift in President Trump, in the sense of that he's like, we're going to do this a whole different way?
It's just who Trump is. I mean, the one thing working for him is, Mercedes, if you want to get him to say no, you say, well, the way we've always done it is, no, and we're not going to do it that way. And so he thinks outside the box, and every single time. The thing that I think, though, is just the entire way he's handling the presidency. It's like he's brought us all into the Oval Office, right?
Yes.
When he goes around the cabinet meetings, everybody's talking. This is not just photo op and everybody goes home. This is like, we're there. We're there as they're debating these things. We're right there at the moment. And so not only people who didn't vote for Donald Trump, but everybody's kind of in on what it's like to be president. Everybody's in on the decisions. Now, I think that what this will do in long run, which they're not even thinking about right now, but that's giving him the political capital he's going to need. It's making every American have skin in the game, right? We're all involved in this. This is our president. We're in the Oval Office, too. And when tragedy and crises happen, and they do for every president, you don't see it coming, it just is there. He will have built up so much goodwill, and when he can go to the American people then and say, look, something terrible has happened, I need you. I need you to be with me on this. I need you to be patient a little longer. We're going to get through this together. That's the fireside chat of FDR. That's Abraham Lincoln. That's Martin Luther King. That's connecting with your people in such a, Reagan did it so brilliantly. It's you are one with your people. And compare that to, previous presidents, especially the most recent previous president. Donald Trump is a whole different thing.
KT, Russia, Ukraine, quickly, and anything of note that you see there? I don't quite see any movement at all, and it looks like President Trump's pretty frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if Russia doesn't want to stop killing, where does it go? How long are they going to go?
I just want to say, KT, what's interesting here is that we do see Pope Leo XIV offering to host, both the Ukrainian president and the Russian president, which I thought was such an interesting play. And President Trump actually likes the idea.
Seems open to it.
Yeah, and Putin is apparently, or at least claims to be, a very devout Russian Orthodox Christian. So let's see where this goes. Maybe that's another avenue to it. But at the end of the day, if one side wants to just keep fighting until the last man, nothing much you can do about that.
One last question, KT. The revelations of Joe Biden, well, they're not revelations, we all knew it, but the confirmation of Joe Biden's condition on the international front, obviously foreign leaders saw this too.
Sure.
Are you, they said nothing, and obviously I guess that's the diplomatically appropriate thing to do, but do you believe that we were taken advantage of by our allies and adversaries, knowing that we had a barely functioning head of state?
Absolutely. I mean, look what happened with Afghanistan. Russia then invades. Iran unleashes the proxies. Hamas goes in and kills Jews in Israel. Look all over the world. The Chinese are getting aggressive in Taiwan. Everybody was ripping us off. Everybody was taking advantage of it. And I got to say, to me, this is a coup. This was a coup about a cabal of power-hungry, nameless, faceless people in the West Wing of the White House who have been in the Obama administration, now in the Biden administration, and they just couldn't give up clinging to power. They were like, this is like Weekend at Bernie's. They took a man who should have been allowed to retire and play with his grandchildren, and they propped him up so they could be in power. And they were absolutely preparing to let the guy die for it. And then in hopes that he would be reelected and they could still stay in power for another couple of years. Those people should be named, and they should shamed, and they should be never in polite company again. They didn't commit a crime, maybe, but enough's enough.
We'll leave it there. KT, always absolute pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you.
It is 8:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Quite a day on Capitol Hill as we have a round of hearings now where members of the president's cabinet are answering questions from the appropriate committees that oversee their operations. And one thing that we're seeing as a common denominator of the Trump 2.0 administration is that the cabinet members are fiery and they're ready to push back when challenged by their Democrat foes. We played a little bit of Marco Rubio earlier, and we'll try to play some more. But boy, your EPA administrator, Lee Zeldin, is having none of it as Democrats continue to try to keep the Green New scam going. Here's Sheldon Whitehouse. You know him. He's the member of the All-White Beach Club up in his home state of Rhode Island. Here's Whitehouse going after Lee Zeldin, and Zeldin pushing right back. Cut 30.
Today, you stated during your House E&C hearing that you personally reviewed all these grants. Here's what you said. I was the one who made the decision. And I made the decision after doing individual review. I personally reviewed every single grant that I canceled. Now, you guys are going to have to start getting your stories straight because there are three completely different statements and they cannot all be true. It cannot be that Voiles personally himself conducted the review of 781.
He did.
And that Coogan saw to it that it was individually done.
Others did. It's a crazy concept, Senator, but maybe more than one person was individually reviewing these grants. Maybe they were working on it for more than one day, Senator.
Will you
thought
show
about that concept? What about the fact
when
that
their
when
testimony is that they did it all on one day? No, I do not.
Every single time.
I do not agree with that, Administrator.
Senator.
He swore in court that he did it on one day. So you can't now come in and say that that's false.
On a day after you work on it,
He
busting
didn't
your
say.
ass for a while to get all of your ducks lined up.
That's
to
not
do
what
all
he
the
said.
research, to ask questions, to make sure you're making responsible decisions.
None of that is what he
Because they're
said.
not worried that there's going to be some ranking member to
None
the
of that is
EPW
what he
committee
said.
who doesn't care about the facts.
None of that is what he said. I'm using the facts as your employees
I conducted
stated
an
them.
individual review of everything, and that concept doesn't work for you.
When did you conduct an individualized
Work on it
review
every
of
single
781
because
grants?
we have a zero tolerance
Will you
policy
show me
towards
your
wasting
schedule?
dollars. We inherit something. You don't care about wasting money.
Will you show me
you
your
don't care
schedule?
about wasting money, but the Trump administration does, Senator.
Will you show me your schedule?
Our schedule's publicly released. We don't put on the schedule every single moment
Will you
of
show
the
me
day
your
that
schedule
it's
to
publicly
prove
released.
your assertion
I'm
that
here
you
under
did
oath,
individualized
Senator.
review of
They're
781?
under oath telling you that I was reviewing this stuff and working on it almost every single day.
All right, it gets even better, and I want you to hear it because it's worth it. Here's some more of Lee Zeldin against Whitehouse. Listen.
That I was reviewing this stuff and working on it almost every single day.
And the
Why?
problem
because
with
when
that-
I was before this committee, I was asked by Senator Ricketts, if confirmed, would I immediately make this a top priority to go through all the grant funding going through EPA to make sure that we are cracking down on every waste, every aspect of abuse. Because I have to come back here in front of Senator Ricketts today. And even though you don't care about wasting tax dollars, Senator Ricketts does.
And the
I'm going to
problem-
do my job because the American public
And the
cares
problem-
about us not wasting tax dollars.
And the problem with your assertion here today is that it is belied by your own employees' sworn statements in court and by the decision of the
Senator,
Department of
you're not
Justice
grasping
to
the fact.
admit that what you
No,
say
you're
isn't
not grasping
true.
the fact that we would have multiple employees looking at these grants. That concept just escapes you like that's even a possibility.
The only
You
thing
come
about
here
that is that
and
that's
you don't
not
care
true.
about 99% of the story.
That's not true according to your own employees'
You're not grasping
testimony.
It, Senator. I don't know what to say to you. You're insisting on the fact.
I'm
that
insisting on the facts.
that
That's
he
exactly
only-
what I'm insisting
Yes,
on. I'm
okay.
insisting on the facts, and I now have
I will
three
say
different
again
versions of the facts,
that Travis
including
Boyles
Department
and
of
I
Justice
and others
lawyers
are working on this every
who
single
admitted
day that
in
we're
court
in
that
office.
what you're saying
and we're
now
not going
is
to
not
waste
true.
dollars just because you insist on EPA lighting taxpayer dollars on fire. The American taxpayers, they put President Trump in office because of people like you. They have Republicans in charge of the House and Senate because of people like you. Because you don't care about 99% of the story. You don't want me to go through the list of all the evidence of waste and abuse. You
No,
don't
what
care
I want you to do-
in conflicts of interest.
What I
don't
want
care
you to
about
do-
unqualified recipients.
How's that?
Wow.
How's that
I'm like,
for Lee
they're just
Zeldin?
like on fire between like Marco and, and now you've got Lee Zeldin. Just they're not getting bullied. I mean, they're just not. It's such a change from the past, really.
It is. It's an amazing thing to watch, and we're here for it. 8:23. All right, coming up, we're going to give you the latest details on the political assassination of 2 employees at the Israel Embassy last night in Washington, D.C. Keep it here, O'Connor and Company with Larry and Mercy.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Was that the sound of your typical Ivy League college protest? No. Was that a member of the squad on the floor of the House of Representatives? No. Was it maybe a Grammy Award-winning recording artist on the stage receiving his award and chanting to the radical left-wing supporters who all hate the state of Israel and chant the same free, free Palestine mantra? Nope, none of the above. No, that was an accused assassin. Man who was arrested last night after apparently gunning down 2 innocent employees of the Israeli embassy in cold blood right here in Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser last night, in a hastily thrown together press conference, addressed the issue. Cut 36.
We are here at the MPD headquarters to provide an update on a horrific shooting that happened shortly after 9 p.m. this evening near the Capitol Jewish Museum. I want to start by sending our condolences to the loved ones of the victims who were senselessly a victim of these crimes.
Yeah, this was a political assassination, Mercedes, and this person not only chanted the Free Palestine mantra, but is also in league politically with all of those who have been dangerously and irresponsibly calling the state of Israel an apartheid state, saying that they're guilty of genocide, saying that they're colonists, advocating for from the river to the sea. What do they think that means? That means kill all the Jews who were living in that area. And now it's come home to roost right here in our city,
I can't believe
which should
it.
be the the safest, most powerful capital city on the planet.
This young couple, they were going to be engaged next week in Jerusalem. He had bought a ring for Sarah Milgrim. And, you know, part of the Israeli embassy staff, I mean, now you're having Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying that they're going to have to beef up security in their missions. This, you know, it's one thing if it happens in Europe or in another country, but here in the United States, I mean, this shows you how these Hamas terrorists, they're out of control. They've indoctrinated so many individuals, so many students, so many young people to push this free Palestine message. This one individual, this murderer, Elias Rodriguez from Chicago, a graduate of University of Illinois, is a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation, a communist party, and he is known for attending these different protests, including BLM. And this is what the Democrat Party supports time and time again. They support the extremists. They support the criminal illegal aliens. Their platform is just riddled with these types of Hamas sympathizers. And it is, and look at what we have now, this violence that has happened against these innocent people.
So sick and tired of the liberals and the left and the Democrats and the FBI director formerly saying that the greatest threat in this country is domestic terrorism coming from the political right without any foundation or evidence to show as much. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, here she was on the floor of the House, cut 37.
If you want to know what an unfolding genocide looks like, open your eyes. It looks like the forced famine of 1.1 million innocents. We must write our story in this moment of what it means and who we are as Americans.
That's right. You start saying that you're forcing the famine of women and children and babies and it's a genocide unfolding. People might start taking that crap seriously and they might do something about it. Our friend, our colleague, my mentor, Mark Levin, just phoned in moments ago to Fox News.
I'm not a rabbi, and I'm not a diplomat, so I'll call it as I see it. The West is weak. They're weak against this fusion of these Marxists and these Islamists. They're spending hundreds of billions of dollars in our country and throughout Europe.
That's right.
Qatar is number one. Communist China is number two. That's not a mistake. That's not a coincidence. They're trying to destroy us from within. President Trump talks about the enemy within. This is the enemy within. We see it. There's a Kristallnacht taking place in our country every day and throughout Europe every day. Jews are not safe in every capital in Europe, and now they're not safe in our capital.
In our capital.
In our capital. That's, yes. I mean, it's horrific. And to know that these innocent lives were lost because of Jewish hatred, and the fact of, this obsession with Palestine, and this is happening across our college campuses.
That's right.
Larry, it's got to end. There has to deport these people out of here.
This is what it leads to. You allow these protests, you allow the encampments, you allow them to block Jewish students from just merely peacefully walking across the campus of your college. The next thing you know, you've got blood on your hands. And that's exactly where the American left is right now, that has supported this kind of thing, who has tolerated this intolerance. A little bit more on this in just a moment. It's 8:42.
WMAL, making sense of the economy, because it's your money and your retirement. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
And they are the enemy. They're not an adversary. They're not a bunch of punks just with big mouths. They're marching through the streets like no Nazis ever have, like no Klansmen ever have in our country, calling for the destruction of the United States of America, the overthrow of the West, burning the American flag, chasing Jewish students on college campuses, threatening elderly Jews who hold signs on the streets peacefully, attacking our synagogues. Now, I say this to my fellow Americans. Is this what we want? Is this who we are?
The great one, Mark Levin, just moments ago on Fox News. Mercedes, this is a dark day. And again, it's the United States of America. It's Washington, D.C. It's our capital. This is the kind of thing that happens in a third world nation. But it was because of the tolerance of these intolerant scum that allowed this to grow and fester and reach this point.
And Mark Levin warning about potential attacks like this for quite some time. So for him, he's going, look, I've been warning about this virtually every single day. If we don't put this down now, it's going to get a lot worse. And that is the truth. The truth is that it started on the college campuses with the encampments, with these violent protests, with bullying of the Jewish students. And now we're seeing the death of these Israeli embassy staffers here in Washington, D.C. I mean, up to what point are we going to continue to allow this kind of just this spew of terror, of basically embracing terrorism? It's very anti-American. It's anti-Israel, and quite frankly, it's we can't tolerate it anymore.
Yeah, and I'm yet to see, I mean, maybe Josh Shapiro, although even Josh Shapiro was intimidated into distancing himself from the state of Israel. At this point, I don't know a single clear, strong voice on the left, in leadership certainly, amongst Democratic elected officials, who will unconditionally condemn Hamas and support the state of Israel. And when you don't unconditionally condemn terrorists, well, terrorists are going to create acts of terror, and that's exactly what we saw last night, right here in our backyard.
And the Democrats just being, they appease, they just accept this. It's all about their hatred of Israel and their whole rhetoric as well, in terms of the Free Palestine rhetoric, which we know is all part of this. And quite frankly, I want the DOJ to investigate this party of socialism and liberation. We don't need communists here in America. There's got to be a lot more of this going on. And I just think we got to get down to the fact of who's funding them and who's pushing this rhetoric.
Who funds these groups? They have blood on their hands, and anyone who doesn't condemn this movement has blood on their hands. What more has to happen now for people to just wake up? It's 8:52. That's a wrap, Mercedes. We will see you later tonight on Newsmax, along with this guy, Chris Plant. Good morning, Chris.
And who else? Who else we going to see? Anybody else we know going to be?
You would know better than I would. I'm just a guest.
I'm only a guest. Yeah, well, yeah, so am I at this point, interesting enough. That's,
I don't know if that's entirely accurate.
That's kind of fun. Well, another Democrat murderous terrorist attack. They love the jihad. They love the guy who wants to be Luigi Mangione. He wants to be a hero, hero of the Democrat Party, and he may very well be.